Hello, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I am here to do the rest of my June wrap up. It's a bit of a daunting task because there's quite a stack here, and it's been several weeks since I finished reading most of them. I need to get back into the Friday Reads format. I've been neglecting that and forgetting about it, and it's much more effective for me to talk about books like as I'm reading them and as I finish them. But maybe this month with, filming every day-ish, I'll remember to do that. I'll take the time to do that. But anyway, it's rather daunting because somehow I managed to read like all the genres. That may be a bit of hyperbole, but not much. I mean, I read a lot of genres last month somehow. Anyway, jumping right in, these first two I read for Caribathon, and they were so good. What a great readathon. The first one, These Ghosts Are Family by Maisie Card. This is a Jamaican author born in Jamaica and raised in New York. She got her MFA there at Rutgers, I think. No, Brooklyn College. And she's a librarian. Oh, love that. So this is a story about a man who has a hidden past his family did not know about. So this is him meeting one of his daughters for the first time, a daughter who thought that he was dead, had never met him, and telling his current children, his current daughter is not the right word, the daughter from his second family about, his first family. And then we learned some generational history that is fascinating and hard-hitting, but these ghosts are family, so it's about the ghosts of your past and also the literal ghosts in your past, figuratively, you know what I mean? Like real ghosts, but not really. Anyway, I love this. I just ate it up. It's a bit of a disjointed narrative, so if that's not your thing, or if magical realism isn't your thing, but yeah, this was my thing. And then I finally got to Wide Sargasso Sea by Jean Rees. Oh my gosh, this was gorgeous. The language in here, wow, just wow. This was a woman that was raised in Dominica, and this story is not a retelling, it's a companion piece to, is it Wuthering Heights? I get those two mixed up. No, Jane Eyre, sorry. It's a companion piece to Jane Eyre, so what's his name's first wife? Yeah, you could tell I care. Who was raised in the Caribbean and then, brought to England to be married to what's his name. But wow, this was so atmospheric, just in this dark tropical way. And I just found it brilliant. Like, I couldn't help but wonder if I would have gotten as much out of it if I hadn't read Jane Eyre first. And it wasn't quite what I expected with, the racism issue with Jane Eyre isn't explained in the way that you would expect in here. But, oh, beautiful read. So I'm curious if any of you have read that and haven't read Jane Eyre, if it made the same sense to you or not. I don't know, but yeah, wow. Then I read some fantasy. I went on quite the fantasy bender in June. So first I snagged A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is a debut novel, YA fantasy. So I believe it's West African, and she, like, the strong point of this book is the world building and the magical system. She builds that beautifully. I found it quite mesmerizing. The plot for, I would say, the first 2/3 or more was very what you'd expect. Like, it was very formulaic. But then the ending, she really twisted it around and got me. Like, she caught me, she hooked me. So this is basically, you've got this kingdom where in the opening section, the queen is assassinated, so her daughter has to take the throne, but she doesn't want to. She doesn't think she's capable, so she comes up with this necromancy situation where she can bring her mother back to life if she has a king's heart. So she comes up with this scheme to find herself a husband real quick so she can kill him. Meanwhile, the husband material comes to town, and he's in this competition. Obviously, there's a competition. And yeah, his baby sister has been taken by a demon, and he has to kill the princess to get his sister back. So you got a dual assassination plot after assassination plot, and so yeah, much fun, especially since she really kind of went on that tangent at the end that was unexpected, and saved it from being ordinary. So yeah. And then I finally got to The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. They trained her for a war. She intends to end it. This is not YA. Several people told me that, and indeed they were correct. It's about a young teenage protagonist who is, she's an orphan. I meant to say this too. This has a really neat immigrant narrative. And this as well. This girl was an orphan in the state, made a family, local family, or a rural family, raise her. So she studies to be in a test, and if she scores well on the test, she can go, if she scores top score, she can go to school for free, which, obviously that happens. But this one is really dark. Poppy War, is reference to drugs, and there is drug abuse in here, self-harm, all kinds of dark things, but really, really captivating tale. And she's looking through the lens of oppressive societies and abusive societies at war, looking at historical events and placing them in a fantasy environment. But yeah, definitely going to be picking up the sequels to all of these. So the third one is one that Kendra Winchester has really talked about a lot, and I don't know why I haven't gotten to it till now. Three Dark Crowns. This is the one where the three triplets sisters have to compete and kill each other. The last one standing gets to be queen. So this is a political piece, which is not normally my thing. I tend to not like politics in my fantasy, but this one, I was all here for it. I was entertained from page one. It is YA, so if you don't read YA, maybe don't read it, but yeah, thoroughly entertained, very mesmerized by like the secondary characters and how they're interplaying with the queens and, you know, all that jazz. So then, kind of still on the fantasy realm, but a translated literary fiction piece, I finally got to The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. And yeah, this was so thought-provoking. You're in a society where, I think it's an island, but periodically things just disappear, and like it's really weird because you have to detach yourself from reality, because the thing disappears but it's still there, and the people are like forgetting about it over the course of a few days, so they have time to like go through their homes and get rid of the item that they've forgotten but are like in the process of forgetting. I don't know, but lots of deep thoughts about this book, definitely. Then I was needing to, you know, get her done, because if, you know, you watched any of my vlogs there toward the end, or my TBR talk recently, I bought too many books the month before and needed to like balance those books. So I was looking for some shorter things to breeze through. So I finally picked up Prairie Lotus by Linda Sue Park. This is middle grade. And Linda Sue Park is a Korean author. She came to the States probably in middle school herself. And I just remember listening to her speak one time. This was, you know, decades ago actually. And listening to her ESL experience, and, you know, as an ESL teacher myself, I have just always been attached to her since then. But this book, I kid you not, I was in tears at the end, because she has a little section at the end, her author's note, where she talks about her love for Little House on the Prairie as a young ESL student, and how absorbed she was in those books, and how as an adult she's had to reconcile herself to the racist elements in them. And this is, you know, her like alternate story, and she just handles it so beautifully and so kindly. I will maybe at the end of this read a little bit. Yeah, my wish, let's see. Prairie Lotus is a story I have been writing nearly all my life. It is an attempt to reconcile my childhood love of the Little House books with my adult knowledge of their painful shortcomings. My wish is that this book will provide food for thought for all who read it, especially the young readers in whose hands the future lies. Her little essay at the end is well worth the read here, but this is just a story of a family from the West Coast. The mom is Korean and the dad, well, the mom is Chinese with some Korean heritage, and the dad is a white man, and they fall in love and marry in his textile store, and they have the little daughter, but the mother ends up dying, and the dad is raising her by himself, and she's 14, and she's, you know, they're moving back east in the covered wagon, so, you know, the opposite direction from Little House. But yeah, it's just kind of a coming of age, and her, you know, learning to assert herself and live and grow and prosper and bloom in the environment that she is in. And yes, highly recommend that book. And then Dumpling Days by Grace Lin. This, I believe, is Taiwanese. And it's a story of the family. There are, I think, 2 daughters flying back from the States. They live in the States, and flying to Thailand and having extended vacation with their family in Thailand. And so this one was really deep thematically, so it appealed to me on an adult level. This one is actually, I would say, written for younger kids, like 3rd through 5th grade. Middle grade is that expanse from, I would say, 3rd grade through 8th grade, so it's very varied. But this one is for a younger, sorry, my battery told me it was low. This is for a younger audience. So I would say this would be a nice read along for a 4th or 5th grade class to kind of experience Taiwan chapter by chapter, but I kind of breezed through it because it wasn't holding my attention. Then I finished a graphic novel, I Was Their American Dream by Malaka Gharib. This I loved, again with the ESL element. This is like exactly what my ESL students go through, I would say, in general. But this is a girl whose father is Egyptian and her mother is Filipino. They meet in the States and don't end up staying together. So the girl grows up with her Filipino family in the States, but spends her summers in Egypt. And it goes through, like her parents meeting all the way through her own marriage at the end. And I just found it to be absolutely delightful, 100%. So with that, I read my penultimate Mary Stuart, Rose Cottage. These are just quintessential cozy mysteries. This one was, a woman going back to her childhood home, and yeah, just really sweet and beautiful and cozy. And finally, LMNOP, A Novel in Letters by Mark Dunn. I found this to be so charming. This is another, I read a lot of island stories. This is another island story. This one's set off the coast of, I believe, South Carolina, fictional island again. But they follow this statue of Nevin Nollop, who came up with the phrase, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," which contains all 26 letters of the alphabet. So this is emblazoned on his statue. Statues are a hot topic right now. So after many, many years, some of the tiles of the phrase start falling off, and the council in charge of the island decides that those letters can no longer be used in communication, either oral or written. So this, it's an epistolary format, and I am so impressed with Mark Dunn's use of language. It's a very literary society, so the first letters are really highbrow language, and then as they begin losing letters of the alphabet, it's really clever the way they reroute their phrasing to compensate for those missing letters with their word choices. And then toward the end, the letters get very short, and it's just funny how they just continue rephrasing and then remorphing actual spellings of words. Yeah, so good. So yay, I gotta run. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon, hopefully tomorrow. Bye.